Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hey, it's Just Dan, and today is Monday, meaning we get to talk about the most underrated market that there is for Pokemon collectibles, and that is going to be Japanese PSA slabs. All right, even though the hobby is growing and a lot more people are going to Japanese, it's still a little bit underrated. Regardless, remember on this kinds of video, we're going to go ahead and be talking about the listing prices for these cards on eBay's PSA Vault. We're going to be talking about the raw cards value as well as the collector's value that they give it as an evaluation. Last thing that we'll go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and break it down by population. So in case you have this card and you want to go ahead and send it to get graded, what is your gem rate of return, right? If we don't have any questions, we're going to go ahead and begin. Honestly, I love saying that because you guys can ask questions regardless. Anyways, that doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first card that we got a 2023 Morco from Ancient Roar. Jesus Christ. So Morpeko is listed right now at PSA for a 10 for around $34.63 with a best offer. Honestly, always check out that best offer because you might be able to get it cheaper. Now, the raw value of this card is going for around $6. So whenever you account for grading fees going through PSA, you're looking at like around $26, not including shipping and handling. Now, collector has this card evaluated for around $31. So $34 listing price to 31 is not a bad deal. All right, it's not a bad price. Now, population wise, there's around 955 cards graded out in rotation. Now, for PSA 8 and below, there's around 50 copies. For PSA 9, there's around 115. And for PSA 10, there's around 790, right? So whenever you're looking a percentage of a gem rate, if you send it to get graded, you got around an 83% chance of this card coming back as a 10. Now, whenever we compare to the English market, a PSA 10 goes for $180, and there's only 520 cards right now graded. So not a lot of big variance. 200 cards is not what I would consider big, right? So $34 with the best offered. Collector evaluates this card for around 31. Honestly, I would submit an offer for close to 31, and if I would get it, that's a fantastic deal. But $34 paying upright is not bad. But consider that you still have to pay that $5.99 for shipping and handling. Try to bargaining with them and try to get a little bit lower, closer to that $31. And honestly, I think that would be a fantastic deal. Now, talking about a fantastic and beautiful card that kind of blew out in the early of 2025. We're talking about 2024 Sbuck from Cyber Judge. Now, this card is listed at PSA for around $37. The raw card goes for around $6, and including the grading fee, it's around $26 without shipping and handling. Now, collector evaluates this card at around $29. So let's go ahead and break down the population. There's around 1,106 cards out, graded copies out in rotation. Now for PSA 8 and below, we got around 35. Around PSA 9, we have 70. And then for a PSA 10, we got around 990 cards, giving you a 90% gem rate if you send it to get graded. Now, in the English side, a PSA 10 is going to go for around 140, and there's around 600 graded copies. So from PSA 10 in Japanese and English, it's around 400 copies out there. So kind of getting a little bit bigger. Now, $37 is pretty high, especially if collectors evaluating this card around 29. So do I think it's a great deal? Absolutely not. If you can get it close to 30, then absolutely yes. But if you can't and they want you to pay closer to 40, stay away from it. Wait for it to get cheaper because it will get cheaper. Even though it's a beautiful card, I would wait a little bit longer before buying this one. Now, going to the third card that we're going to be talking about, and honestly, this is also a very beautiful card, and we're talking about a 2023 Miss Magius from Triple Beat. PSA has this card listed for around $39. The raw value of this card is 5 plus grading ship plus the grading fee is $20. So, 26 to 30, sorry. Yeah, 25 to 39 is still kind of a big difference. Now, collector has this card evaluated at 21. So, let's go ahead and break down around the population. There's around 1,330 copies graded and out in circulation. Whenever we're talking about PSA 8 and below, 8 copies. That's looking fairly good. PSA 9, 88 copies. Now, PSA 10, there's around 1,230 copies. So, for the gem rate, we're looking around a 92% chance if you send this card that it's going to come back as a 10. So, what does that mean? Well, in the English side, there's around 300 copies in a PSA 10 that go around $200. Now, honestly, if I had this card, I would send it to get graded because you have a very good chance that it's going to come back as a 10. Am I going to pay $39 for this card? Absolutely not. Not if the card is evaluated at $21. But honestly, I will pay for around 25 if someone was already putting all the work of collecting it, sending it to grading it, so all that deal. So closer to $25, I would say it's a great deal. Closer to 40, absolutely not. Stay away from it. Outside from that, it is a beautiful card, and it's one of those cards that I hope with time I actually add to my collection. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about one of the newest cards that's been added to the eBay's PSA vault, and we're talking about a 2025 Nobat from Battle Partners. Now, this card is listed at PSA for $40. The raw value of this card is around 40, and collector has this card listed around 35. Now, whenever we're talking about the population, there's around 330 cards out in rotation. PSA 8 and below, we're talking about only around 9. PSA 9, there's around 40 copies. And around for PSA 10, there's around 280 copies. Now, in the English side, there's not that many cards already being graded in the English side because it's a fairly new set, but the one that has been sold, they're averaging around $140. Now, is this a good deal or a bad deal? Honestly, I would tell you stay away from this. It is way too early for this card to be going for like around $40. Nobat is a fantastic Pokemon. Don't get me wrong. Fan favorite. Looks great. The art looks great. But I think it's closer to that $25 range. And since the card is fairly new, it has that new sticker price. So I will wait on it a little bit longer, staying away from this card. Oh, but I didn't talk about the gem rate. The gem rate for this card is around 84%. So, you might miss on this one. But still, I would wait. And now, the last card that we're going to go ahead and talk about. Now, it's going to be the oldest card. I just dropped my cheat sheet. Sorry. Shit. Technical difficulties. All right. So, for the last card that we're going to go ahead and talk about, and it's going to be the oldest card that we have right now, and it's going to be a 2019 Garchomp and Giratina tag team from GX Allstars. Now, this card is listed right now at PSA for around $43. The raw value of this card is $7. So plus grading, you're looking like around $27, not including shipping fees. Now, collector has this card evaluated around $40, so it's not too bad. When we're talking about the population of this card, there's around 1,280 copies graded and out in circulation. Breaking it down, PSA 8 and below, we got 14 copies. PSA 9, we got around 170. And for a PSA 10, there's around 1,080 copies. If you have this card and you send it to get graded, you have an 85% chance that it's going to come back as a 10. Now, In the English side, the card goes for around $200, and there's less than 500 copies out on rotation. So PSA is listing it for $43. There is a best offer option available, and if you can get it closer to 40 or below 40, I would say it's a fantastic deal. Overall, I think this is a great looking card. It knocks out two great Pokemon, Giratina and Garchomp, and honestly, you're not going to really see this card out there. So this is one of those cards in this list that would be like my highest priority to add to my collection. But that is just me. But overall, some of these cards are fantastic. We're starting to get like a different kind of we start getting Sun and Moon cards outgraded in PSA, and a lot of the modern Scarlet and Violet era cards, they're easily accessible. But honestly, I would say try to get that Garchomp and Giratina for as low as possible, but $40 a fair price. Now, the one that I would stay away from would be that Nobat for sure. Stay away from Nobat. Stay away from Sbuck. It's the Japanese Sbuck is way too high. As same thing as Miss Maggie is, and honestly, I think those prices are listed there just because of the early quarter of 2025's hype. The more Peko, fairly priced, but that's personally just me. And if you made it this far, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And the last thing that I want to go ahead and do is from last week to this week, I really do appreciate the people who stand this long to actually watch my videos, and especially the ones that subscribe. Honestly, it just means the world to me. I'm doing this as a hobby. I'm having fun, and it just means the world to me. But something that I want to go ahead and do, as more people keep subscribing, I'm still trying to reach that the milestone of 100 subscribers. I'm gonna go ahead and rip an English card, the common card, because I don't like English, for PSA slabs for every single subscriber. And this week, I went up seven, meaning I get to rip seven cards. So hopefully you guys can hear all that sweet, sweet tear as I'm demolishing these English common cards. And honestly, just thank you for all the support. If you guys can go ahead and press that like button, love it. If you guys want to go ahead and subscribe, next Monday, I'll go ahead and, you know, indulge in this pleasure. But outside from that, my name is Hey, it's Just Dan. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. You guys celebrated Mother's Day or Dias de los Madres for my Spanish speaking audience. And you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, peace.